And we're live.
We're live. Hello.
Yay. Hello, Brigid.
How are you? You've
I
had a
am
wonderful
well.
day in the
Yeah.
3-day body class.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
So I am at Simone's 3-day body class at the Antique Guild warehouse in the outskirts, well, kind of in Brisbane area. And it's been pretty cool. So we just finished day 2 of the
Awesome.
3-day class. And yeah, it is really good. So
Awesome.
I couldn't resist talking about bodies today. So, Brigid,
Perfect.
could you tell us a little bit? So you're where?
I'm down in Melbourne in full-on lockdown, where we have to have masks to leave the house because we're so germy.
Yes, dangerous. Melbourne.
And what exactly, which is really interesting because it's such an assault on our body that we might be germy, and the projections and the judgments and the conclusions it's all in the air at the moment about the risk that other people are and the risk that I might be. And in the middle of that is our poor body, who has no coronavirus whatsoever. In fact, most people don't have coronavirus in a way that's going to cause a problem, but we're still projecting that at our bodies. So this is especially a good time to be looking at what actually is our body telling us and how are we going to step forward.
Yeah. Well, I recall one of the things, and to me this was obvious, but hearing Simone say this is like, well, what if you just ask your body, hey, is this a problem for me? And I know that that's something a lot of people don't want to recognize, their bodies, and even they know so much more than they're willing to allow themselves to know that they know. But yeah,
exactly. And I think that happens, that's something that happens all the time. As we, from when we're very little, we learn not to trust our body and not to look at what actually is our body telling us and experiencing for us. And our body is one big sensory organism. It's not, it's not all separate. Like, we sense things all the time through our bodies. It's constantly communicating with us about even just the basics of temperature and hunger and sleep and rest, and my body needs to move, and that's really enjoyable. And so much we can tend to actually just forget about that or ignore that and just be up in our head. As one lovely lady said in Access, I was just a brain with legs. And that can be so true. And we just ignore the rest. It's like, oh.
Well, yeah, you start getting an ache here, a pain here, maybe a medical condition here and there. And it's like, oh, if I could just get rid of all of this, everything would be fine. But why are we here on Earth? And why would we have bodies if, and so how can we start to recognize the gift that our bodies are instead of the ball and chain that some people still,
the nuisance,
is that maybe they think they are, or we've had it kind of programmed into us that our bodies are just flesh, or they're just something that another thing we've got to water and feed and look after. But how much of a contribution your body can be to you.
And because we can't do anything on this earth really without our bodies. Like, if we can't walk, makes life fairly difficult. If our bodies are dead, well, what does spirit do? What does their being do when they don't actually have a body? So we have chosen to embody into whatever this form is and whatever shape this is. And then we tend to ignore it or abuse it or abuse it.
Or try to get rid of it. Yeah.
Or try to get rid of it, kill it off, this slow march to death. And, we see that with our animals. they don't do that. They just stay vibrant and alive until, oh, okay, it's time to go. And then you just see them just kind of drop off the edge. They don't do this long, slow decline of 20 or 30-year aging process into the grave that, you know, often humans do. And there's really no need for it. You know, it's about that choice of life. And our body, I guess if we compare our body to a horse or a dog or something where they're, you know, it's not, our body doesn't do any judgment. It doesn't do any trauma and drama. It just experiences what it needs to experience. It's hot, if it's sore, if something's cut my skin and I need to deal with that, but it doesn't hold on to grudges. It doesn't judge. And if we were to listen to how our body proceeded through its daily life, then what could that actually contribute to us actually having a more present life and a more joyous, ease-filled life if we just really listen to the body. And I know it's an analogy to think, well, you can't really compare our bodies to an animal's because we are intertwined with our brain and our thinking. But if we look at it from that point of view, then it's a whole different way of seeing our body. Our body's then a contribution. Our bodies are like the litmus test of what life is, you know. So we can see it, so we can experience life through that presence that it has all the time.
Yeah. And one thing, when you started talking about the joy of embodiment, you know, and joy is really not something that most of us are willing to even receive or recognize from day to day. But if you like tap into your body, is like, how much joy does it actually have, even if it has aches and pains? And, you know, does it really have a point of view about things, or is it just like, hey, let's go have fun?
Okay, that was done. That's there.
Yeah.
What else? What next?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
so
awesome.
One of the things, you know, I know that a lot of people who've been doing access consciousness classes or reading or anything for a while will hopefully have recognized that, you know, we are not our bodies, and that our bodies are here to contribute and to play with us here on Earth, and a way for us to engage with Earth. And we actually extend way beyond our bodies. But our bodies also have their own consciousness.
Yeah.
And sometimes they will tell us things about the world that, you know, it's other people. It's the Earth. They'll give us information about other things and other people that it's information. And we usually think, conclude, decide that if it's something our body is showing us, telling us, that it's our issue, our information.
My pain, and my upset.
Exactly. And it's like, well, yeah. So what's your experience with that?
Yeah, I have done I tend to do a lot of healing for the earth and for animals and people. I haven't quite got it yet in terms of always being in that space of, actually, is this something that my body that relates to my body, that I have to deal with my body, or is this something my body is aware of and showing me? And the body can only show you in ways, the body doesn't actually, well, it can sort of talk to us, but really the body shows us in ways of sensations in our body. And one of the easiest sensations to get our attention is through pain, or through having an accident, or, you know, somehow hurting ourselves, because we don't tend to listen if it's really quiet or it's just a fleeting kind of feeling. that comes over us unless we're willing to actually be present with those. And then it's really easy, but often it tends to be the pains, or it's that sick feeling in the stomach, or, you know, your hairs raise up, or something like that, that the body uses to really get our attention. And if, for me, I have, for a long time, I couldn't go out to the shopping plazas and a lot of those bigger places with lots of people because I'd come home really sick. And it took me a long time. It wasn't until I actually started working with Access that I had this, I guess, awareness that actually maybe it's not mine. And even stuff I've done before that, you know, oh, I'm an empath, so I'm going to feel everything, which is all very well, but I actually don't really want to be feeling that all the time. And it's just because I wasn't really listening to what the body was telling me. And I wasn't really dealing with it in a way that the body could be confident or have that communion with my body that, yes, okay, thank you, body, something's going on in the earth. Oh, thank you, body, that person's got a lot of pain or stress and trauma in their body, and okay, we can maybe just share energy or not, depends what we choose to do in the moment. But what I haven't been as willing to do is to really own that my body is this beautiful sensory organism that tells me things all the time. Whether you're touching, whether you're smiling at something or smelling a rose or smelling something unpleasant, or it's just information. And we need to start learning to read our bodies and listen to our bodies and acknowledge even that our bodies are constantly feeding us information. And then be present with that. What is this?
And
so thank you, body.
Yeah. Go with those questions you were just going to say. Were you going to?
So just thank you, body, for showing me. And what can we do?
So
with
what
this?
is this? So we had the question. I don't know if you saw it pop up about what about the pains and aches. I think was the aches was the question. That was how it was worded. And so, like with these, when you recognize something that causes a tweak, you know, a discomfort, you know, angst in your world. Okay, so what is this? So many times we get something and we jump to a conclusion about what it is. Okay, I feel a discomfort in my knee. It's like, oh, I injured my knee. It's like, did you really? Okay, so what is this? What can I do with it?
Yes.
Can I change it? And if so, how? So one of the things is that if it's not yours, you can't actually change it.
You can't, without doubt.
But
I've tried.
You can't. Oh, I know. I have too. And well, you can affect a change, but you know, it's one of the greatest things that I've been learning. And I'm not going to say I've got it because it's one of the hardest things for us or for me personally to do is to say, I actually have to choose for me. I have to choose greater for me. And that creates the space for other people to choose for them. So you can't solve other people's problems. And so the thing here around bodies is, okay, is this information that you're getting even yours? And if it's not, what can you do with it? So if it belongs to someone else, you know, if it's just something going on with someone else, you taking it into your body does not contribute.
Doesn't resolve it for them.
Right. So it may be information about somebody that you know that you can contribute to, and there's a way that you can engage with them and change it. Or maybe it just requires, hey, let's return this to sender with consciousness attached. And let it go from your body.
And
go ahead.
With the comments, like with people looking at, well, I've got this ache and pain in my body, so how can that just be someone else's? You have to keep reminding yourself or remembering, having that awareness that your body is a sensory organism and it tells you things all the time, and pain is one of the avenues that it does that. But the trick can be is that we can buy it as ours. We can decide that it's ours. So even though we kind of are okay with the concept of actually it's not mine and it belongs to someone else and I can return it to sender, sometimes we still hold on to a little bit of it and we make it ours. We make it true and real. And then that's where we can start. That's when we can start getting ourselves into a little bit of, I guess, trouble or confusion. But it really isn't yours. And everything you've done, like even those questions, what is this? I've returned it to sender. I've recognized that it's not really mine, but why is it still here? So what is this and what can I do with that? And then there'll be other stories, other points of view will come up about why you need to have that, why you need to hold on to that. Or do I, in fact, am I required to heal that other person as a kind of a more hidden point of view about what's actually required here? So there's just, it's not just like one question. You're not just asking one or two questions. Sometimes it will be a series of questions before it's really resolved. And keep trusting that most things, and we say in Access, 99.9% of everything we feel in our bodies is not ours. And that's kind of a bit of a, that's a bit of a brain freeze when you think about that. It's not mine. I'm feeling it. I've got a cut in my hand. I'm bleeding. It has to be mine. But is it? And yes, certainly your body is going to repair that. But what created that in the first place? And that's that underlying thing where you need to look at what's actually creating that in the first place. So there's all those questions. You keep asking those different questions, and then you can get to the space where you have more space and more awareness about that your body is this beautiful sensory partnership that's in communion with you if you allow it to be. And it can just allow that energy to move and to change and to shift and to heal, or not heal, I suppose, but send the energy for that person to do with it that they want to do with it, or down into the earth so the earth can do what she needs to do with it. So and it's all about really being clear that it's actually unlikely to be yours, even if you're feeling it really intensely. So you just got to keep asking those questions.
Well, and also be open to, when you're asking a question, you're not necessarily looking for an answer. So you're looking for an awareness. So that could mean an action, it could be information, but you're not actually closing down and saying, oh, this is it, this is going to solve it. It's like, this may contribute, and what else? I want to share a story because to me, it really, it kind of shows like some of the, non-linear stuff around bodies. And so in my early days of doing anything with Access Consciousness, a friend of mine encouraged me to go to a one-day Right Voice for You class.
Oh, cool.
And so we knew each other through Toastmasters, and she had done a lot of Access classes, and I had been to Bar's class and lost interest, and this was 2 years later, and she said, this would be up your alley. You do speaking, you do singing, and so I went, and it was I enjoyed the class a lot. We got up, and it was a lot of using your voice, using your body, and expressing yourself and showing up in the world. And the thing is, at the end of that day, aches and pains that had been with me for months, possibly longer, I'm not really sure, were not in my body.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
So that entire day, I was not working on body stuff. But the things that were showing up as that I was calling pains in my body, at the end of the day, were not in my body. So, that's where I'd like, don't be quick to jump to conclusions for anyone who's listening to this about what it is that your body's telling you or what's required to change it. Because it could be, getting out, having a walk. It could be going somewhere. It could be doing something. It could be writing a story. It could be telling somebody something that needs to be said. Or it could just be acknowledging something that's showing up in the world, and you don't actually have to do anything about it.
And showing up in a
And
class like that is about you really being you. And
yeah,
when you're really being you, a lot of things that aren't you just drop away. They just don't exist because you're not that energy of other people's energy. You are the energy of you, just you being you and the gift that you be. So you don't
yeah,
have any room to hold on to other things. It's not even holding on to them. It's just they just aren't there. When the more you
not
are
relevant.
you, yeah.
Yeah,
So that's really
yeah,
brilliant and beautiful
yeah,
for that to happen. And it's also, again, looking at the conclusions and judgments we make about, okay, because it's a pain, that must mean that, as you were saying before,
mm,
don't conclude about what something is. And just remember that, how is your body going to communicate with you? What's the easiest way for it to communicate with you is through pain
mm.
or
And
discomfort.
or sensations when you start
Some
listening a little
sensations,
bit
yeah.
more. Sometimes it could be more gentle sensations, but also you talk about your body communicating with you, but also like the earth communicating with you. It's like pain works really well. Oh, we've got another one. Just wanted
Mm,
to know about having gastric trouble for the last 3 months, which clearing to use to heal myself and how I feel. I'm doing so much, still not getting an answer. Okay, so first of all, I would say drop your walls and barriers,
mm,
expand out. So, one of the greatest gifts you can do is not to try to hide in your body. So, drop your walls
exactly.
and barriers and
Mm,
expand out. So, make yourself at least as big as the planet, you, the being. And, if you can go out past the galaxy to out to known universes, however big you need to have some space around this issue. And then, it's like, okay, well, truth, who does this belong to?
mm,
And if it starts to change, good chances it's not yours.
mm,
So you can ask to return it to sender. And then, like as Bridget was talking, we, even though we know that it's not ours, we start to buy that it is
mm,
ours. So you can
yeah.
do some clearings around everywhere you bought it as yours and sold it as yours. Destroy and uncreate
Mm,
that. And then one I like is what's my reality?
mm,
Um, what have you
mm.
got as far as like when regarding that question, and then also when you recognize that something's not yours?
Yeah. Something passed through my mind then and just went away, which is really interesting because it's a little bit more challenging for a person to look at. And that is, do you require to have upset in your body? Do you require that?
Mm,
Is there some value in it for you to actually have that upset? Because if something stays and you can't shift it and you've tried everything, there's something that you've decided that is of value to holding on to that. And there's something, and it could really be literally anything. It could be that, in your family situation, unless you've got some sort of illness or trauma and drama, then, they're not going to be there for you. They're just, going to shift their focus and attention to someone else. Or, like there's all kinds of reasons why we hold on to something. And, have you really been present with that, with what your gut's telling you? If it were a friend, what would your gut be telling you? If you had a heart-to-heart with your stomach or your large intestines or your small intestines, whatever it is that's actually creating the upset, if you really sat with it down and, poured a glass of wine or had a cup of coffee with them and had a bit of a cuddle and said, hey, what would you like to tell me? How would you really would you like to change this? And if you're not keen to change this, what would it take to change this, to create more ease for us, for our body? What would it take? Because I think we tend to, I've noticed people can use the tools and it's a bit like a parrot, blah, 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 blah. All of life comes to me with ease, joy and glory, blah, blah, blah. Mum, the tools aren't working. I hear it from my sons, actually. Mum, the tools aren't working. I've been telling return to sender and it's not going away. Okay, but if you're just going to parrot it away without actually being present with what's going on, in your body or for your body or in your life, then it's not going to work, because it's just, the only moment of change you have is right here, right now. This is it, and then it's gone. This is it, then it's gone. If you're in the past or if you're in the present, you cannot change anything. Not in the present, in the future, I meant to say. You can't change anything if you're outside of the present. There is no opportunity to change anything. And we distract ourselves with all of the stuff that's gone on in the past. We distract ourselves with worrying about the future or the future plans. Oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But you actually need to be here in this moment to create anything, to change anything, to just be all who you be. So that could be part of that story of why things don't go away. Are you being really present with it? That's where we need to sit down and have the couple with whatever's going on in our body.
Yeah.
That's another option.
I like that. I love that. That's really good. So
yes, how much fun can you have with your body? Great question.
I know, and
ask
Juliana
all
doesn't know how to have any fun.
That's
So
very cool.
Yeah, it's so what that I love that question, actually, is how much fun can I have with my body? How much enjoyment can I have with my body? How much ease can I have with my body?
Yeah,
and what have you decided your body is that it isn't?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I keep losing mine.
It's the hair.
I know.
Hair and ears don't go well together. In terms of keeping things in there. I lose my
hair
earrings
and
too.
ear pods. Yeah.
That's cool.
So I'm borrowing, speaking of like things that
yummy things.
Since we're here, because this we've got a little bit of a guild show going on.
Oh,
and
awesome.
Yeah. So we're in the antique guild, as one does. So, but Wendy was trying on some jewelry, and this is her necklace that I'm holding for her while she tries on things, and it's for sale. But just all
Very
these
nice.
yummy things that are yummy to you. So what's yummy to you is not necessarily yummy to someone else. And what can you start to recognize that really, I want to use the word resonates with your body, that contributes to your body.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can see, like behind me, I'm in this room with some
beautiful.
gorgeous antiques, things that have crafted and things that have lasted for years. And they all have different energies. They all have different contributions. And, it doesn't have to be antique. It doesn't have to be expensive. But, starting to recognize the things that actually contribute to your body.
Yeah, the gift they be.
Yeah, and you might have bought the story that certain things are an indulgence, but how much does a beautiful piece of jewelry or a really nice, beautiful and comfortable pair of shoes or, the winter coat that just hugs you, or the park that you adore visiting. And so what sort of things that actually contribute to your body. So rather than just seeing your body as a problem to solve or something to communicate with, how can you actually contribute to each other and create a greater and more joyous life?
Yes. And that really is that stepping into, and it's nurturing, and it's that orgasmic energy and that sensualness that you get from even sitting on that beautiful chair. And it is a huge gift to our body, just allowing the body to be orgasmic, in that orgasmic energy all the time, whether it's, eating an egg or a bit of chocolate or smelling a rose. It's that beautiful, wonderful energy. And that's what nurtures our body. Like I didn't used to wear jewelry pretty much at all until coming into Access and experiencing the Antique Guild and the feeling Gary's point of view is just feel everything, touch it, see what it does to your body. And it's been a really wonderful awakening. And these earrings, I don't know whether you can see them, these are beautiful
Oh,
South Sea
wow.
pearls.
Oh, nice.
I didn't get them from the guild, but I was in Melbourne one time, and I don't go into the city off very often because I just find it a bit not enjoyable. And I was 200 metres away from a particular shop, and it was down the hill, and I just saw this little tiny piece of this shop, and I thought, oh, I've got to go there. And I walked down. It was this tiny little dog box of a shop. I walked straight to the back and saw these. Now, that was my body wanting these and appreciating
Wow.
these. And I love them. Every time I wear them, I just adore them. They make me feel fantastic. And I thought, oh, my God, and they're a bit expensive to buy. And I thought, wow, but the energy from them, the connection, is like we are supposed to be together. So I just had to buy them. And that was like a really big change for me to actually buy something that I didn't need, had no practical value. They're just things that sit on my ear, but they're beautiful. And they come from the ocean, and I love the ocean. And you can't make that up. You can't just synthesize that. That's from this thing and your body's reaction to all of that. So it's a really wonderful gift.
And what really speaks to you and contributes to your body is not going to be the same thing that contributes to my body.
Exactly.
And so, not judging yourself or trying to figure out what's right or what fits somebody else's point of view, but actually engaging with your body and discovering what it enjoys right now.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So
cool.
Well, I'm just looking at the time here, and I think it's they're starting to wrap up in the guild. I'm going to be shut in this gorgeous place overnight. Maybe I'll just stay here.
You could curl up on a couple of couches there, I'm quite sure.
And there's a couple lovely beds too. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It wouldn't be the worst place to be stuck overnight.
No.
I think I even have some snacks in the fridge. So, but
Nice.
Oh my God. So thank you so much.
Thank you too.
For everybody who's joined us. And thank you so much, Brigid. So how can people find you, Brigid?
I have a website, and I have Facebook, Brigid Neylan, and I have a website also, Brigid Neylan.
Okay. And you have a profile on
Access.
Access?
I have an Access place. So yes, definitely. And you, Pamela? The same?
So I have a website that's a bit of a work in progress, but it's PamelaMcDowell.com. And I have a profile on the Access website. I also have a something on Facebook that's energetic bodywork Cairns. So
cool.
I'm normally in Cairns, Australia, way up north. And
way up north.
Yeah.
And I'm way down south.
Yeah.
And we're meeting in the middle.
Indeed. Meeting
That's
in the
cool.
middle and online as well. So awesome. Thank you so much, Brigid.
Thank you.
And
enjoy tomorrow.
Right. Thank you. I will.
All right.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.